Welcome to the Atlanta Real. I am the host, Adeline Kumar, and this is a place where real talk, real stories are shared to inspire people. Here at the Atlanta Real, we keep it real. Today, we have a beautiful person inside out, and her name is Mandi Funk, health and wellness self-love coach from British Columbia, Canada. Now we are going to be hearing about her journey losing nearly almost 200 pounds, going from fat to funky. Welcome, Mandi. Glad
Thank
to have you
you.
on my show.
Thank you so much, Adeline. Thank you. It's such a blessing to be here. I feel so honored that you chose to interview me for one of your first episodes.
Yes,
This is
thank you.
amazing.
Yes,
Life is
thank you.
crazy, and I've found that when you lead with love and you follow your heart, it eventually leads you to wonderful things and wonderful people, quite like yourself. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
your time.
Thank you very much. So now that I've introduced you, tell us briefly about your journey.
Yeah, I will. That's always a loaded question, but I really thought on it and how to sum it up in the last few weeks since I've met you in our group and everything that we're doing, and I believe that the power of love is real. So my journey here started around the age of 30. So I had sort of that early midlife crisis, if you will.
Mhm.
At the age of 30, I kind of woke up in my bed and I looked around and I had all of these wonderful material goods. I had a wonderful car, I had a job, I had a house and wonderful amount of friends and a huge network, etc. And I had all the material wealth, but I still felt so unhappy. And subsequently, I had realized I had been trading a lot of my time for money. And in doing so, I allowed the conditioning of my environment to feed me, essentially.
Right.
Started mindlessly eating, mainly because I was just working hard, grinding, 60, 70 hours a week for somebody else, just working really hard. And because they cared so much for all the hard work we did, they created an area where they had a cafeteria. And so it was really easy for me to go in regularly and, drink
Right.
lattes and eat Yorkshire puddings and work hard and just kind of sit on my butt and gain the weight. And one day I woke up and I thought, geez, this isn't it. It was
Right.
30 and I just looked around and I'm like, it can't be it. I have the money. I have everything I thought I was
Right.
supposed to be chasing, but I had no happiness. So I started to look within and
Right.
I realized that everything I'd been doing up until the age of 30, because you see, I had started working early on from the age of 14 or 15. 3 siblings, modest family, just so I could play sports. I wanted the cool stuff. So I got part-time jobs always after school. And I grew up knowing what hard work was, right? And knowing what the chase for money was, and also knowing what not having money was, or just, living a very humble life. And it's wonderful because it keeps me humble now. But I always realized that the chase for money, I realized that the chase for money wasn't what it was. So I started creating and exploring new ways of thinking, and the law of attraction, the concept that like attracts like, and most importantly, the power of self-love. So I came to the conclusion that I hadn't been loving myself, and I subsequently went down the journey of teaching myself how to love myself first, because you can serve everybody in the world, but if you're not serving yourself first, you're not giving them
Right.
everything you can give them.
Absolutely.
So I learned that, and I just worked on my self-worth and my self-value. And I looked in the mirror and I told myself at 340 pounds overweight that I was beautiful, that I was worthy, that I deserved it. And honestly, it wasn't about the weight at all. I was
Sorry,
chasing my
did you
heart.
say 240 pounds?
340 pounds.
340.
I know, it's nuts. I can't even believe that was me. Sometimes I
And
look at
how tall are you?
5'8", not super tall. I carried it all around my hips. It was all in that
Very
booty.
good.
Yeah. At one time, my hips were 70 inches around.
Wow.
I know, we're like 38 inches now, but still, I like it. I like a nice strong trunk, strong legs. I do mixed martial arts now, kickboxing, and I'm only just tapped into the beginning of that world. So that's actually a big focus of mine now too.
Well, you look great now.
Thank you.
I want you to talk a little bit more in detail about that turning point in your life.
Yeah. For sure. 100%,
Yes.
without a doubt, it was my 30th birthday. I woke up, I was like, dang, it's 5 a.m. My phone had already started ringing, from all the different areas that I was responsible for in my role. I was in that time I was at a real estate development. I worked in the construction aspect and in the heavy equipment side. So massive scope, huge responsibility, 4 provinces sort of under my role. And I had a lot going on anyways. I loved it. It was great at that time, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. And the turning point was on my 30th birthday. I was like, you know what? I've actually now done it. I've gotten that amazing job that everyone tells me you want, you need. And here I am crying my face off on my 30th birthday, looking out my beautiful office view at islands and ocean and watching whales jump and, getting that wonderful paycheck every 2 weeks and every weekend having a blast, going to those sports tournaments, doing my thing with my buddies and having a great time. But that wasn't for me. It wasn't fulfilling and it didn't make me happy. That might be for some people. That's wonderful. But I realized then that day, my 30th birthday, October 23rd, 5 years ago, just about. So that it was to chase purpose, to chase love, and to figure it out first for myself.
So you just woke up with a realization that you need to change. You just woke up with an idea.
Well, the reason I woke up, and now when I say woke up, I mean physically and metaphorically, okay? So we're talking, I went through the process of enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment and awakening.
Right.
But what spiraled it, the tip of the scale was all the death I saw in that year. So
That's
I went on a huge 9-month spree of having death in my face to face. I went on a date with a guy and he drowned to death. I had lost 100 pounds by that time. And because I had changed my mentality and I was a strong woman, I was able to dive down back into that water and bring him up and bring him back to life. Okay, so he's still alive today, but it's like those things kept happening. And 3 weeks later, I watched a man on a ball field get hit in the head and her whole community get rocked and a woman be left a single mother with just a small little girl. And then I saw 2 months later, a guy on my ball team a baseball team that I ran, that I was a coach of, he died in his sleep. And I just kept seeing this death, never mind what my partner was going through in his own journey and where we were just beginning to connect as well. It was a crazy time. Holy smokes, Adeline, talk about getting everything thrown at you at once. I had no choice but to wake up. And so what I learned in that time was that there are 2 emotions, okay, we can embrace. One is love and one is fear, right? And that applies to our own self as well. And in fact, it's most important to look at the self aspect first. So we can wake up and we can choose all of those fear-based emotions out there, sadness, depression, oh, I stubbed my toe on a crate of potatoes, my day is ruined. Okay, that's a choice that you make. Or you can wake up and you can choose love, right? It's self-love. You look in the mirror, you say, I love you. You're awesome. You got this. Like, you can do it. You can be whatever you want to be. And I did that. At 340 pounds, I started doing that. And I set the intention for myself that I would change my life based on self-love and believing I could. And you know what I started doing, Adeline? After about 6 months I went into this dark self-withdrawal. Like, I sent myself into self-isolation for around 7 months. I just went totally blank. People were like, where'd you go? What happened? Because it's a large community here, etc. Essentially, I just started reading and discovering the law of attraction. Like attracts like. You are what you think you are. It's so true. And so I started transforming my mentality. And at some point, I guess I forgot about food. So I started dropping the weight, right? And my friends started, like, when I finally started coming out of the darkness and the woodwork, my friends started being like, Mandi, hey buddy, like, you're losing some weight. And I'd be like, excuse me, can you just leave me alone? I'm trying to change my life. I just kept telling them to, like, stop, it's all good. I don't care about my weight, whatever. I'm just trying to change my life. And after like 7 or 8 months, I was like, oh, hold on a second, ding, ding, ding. You know, like, this is part of it. This is part where I can really help appeal to a mass demographic. And right now I'm going to show them my physical story, but I'm going to send them love constantly. And so I started putting out posts about positivity, love, etc. And that was just really not like me. Like I'm like this before. I was like this business person. Like, I played sports on the evenings every weekend. I was at some sort of tournament, soccer, baseball. It didn't matter. I was always doing something with a whole bunch of people and team atmosphere or some sort of building, right? I never had.
So, where were you? Like, did your family support you?
This was entirely a solo journey in the way that when you change, this is the point I was getting at, is that when you change your mind, and you go through spiritual awakening, not everyone's going to understand that. And they're not going to maybe see it the way you see it, at least not in the beginning. And so I had a lot of people who are close to me message me and say like, buddy, what's up? Are you all right? Like, are you going crazy? And I had other people message me like, are you religious now, or what happened? Right? Because I found a deep spiritual belief, and faith is everything. And that's my own personal conclusion, because I tell you what, 6 years ago, this Mandi, having that Mandi look at her would be telling this Mandi she's a crazy girl.
Wow.
Right? But it's not. And you have to open your mind and realize you have to think in a new way to get a new way. You don't get different by being the same. You just don't. Right. You can stub your toe on that crate of potatoes in the morning and say, oh, it's all good. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to have a wonderful day. And you will. It's up to you, though. It's the whole point.
Did you have a role model or a hero?
Yeah. When I dove deep and went into my own self-isolation 4 years ago, what I did was I hopped onto YouTube, of course, and I started watching people like Ralph Smart, like Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, although I don't think they're connected. It's kind of funny. And all those guys, actually, Joe Dispenza, Terrence McKenna, all of them. There's Jordan Peterson. There's so many. Greg Braden, that I could go on. They're super inspiring. Hello, Brian Rose. Seriously, it's that man's passion that brought me to here to meet you eventually. It's unreal. So amazing. I love it. It's great.
Tell us a little bit about how your passion turned into a business idea.
Yeah, totally. So like I say, on my 30th birthday, like I'm like, okay, I got all the money, I got all the things, like this isn't it. So I went on the pursuit of happiness. I went down the road of self-love, and I started discovering what I did. So part of that was, a lot of people don't, a lot of people I know around me, they know this of me, but maybe you wouldn't know. I've held a lot of great diversity in the roles I've held in my lifetime as an employee working for people. And I was always the first to move up the ladder and get to the top. And because I wanted to, because I was always on that pursuit, because my education comes more from experience than anything. I spent a lot of time in high school doodling on paper, put it that way. But only because my creative mind is it's got to go. Unless I'm doing something that is for me, I won't pay attention. So I started reviewing all of the jobs I held over my lifetime, right? And I started reviewing the value that they held for me, what made me feel good when I was doing them, the length of time I stayed at them, why I felt so much giving to those jobs, the ones that I really gave a lot of effort, the ones I gave less effort. And I found that the ones where I stayed at the longest and the ones that fulfilled me the most were the ones where I was offering love. See, when I was, most recently I was in real estate development, sure, and I was in a corporate environment and I sat on my butt. But prior to that, I did a lot of other things. I've run a freight company. I've been a manager in training for 7-Eleven, one of the world's largest retailers. Also, I was the store manager at a large clothing store called Warehouse One. And I was that manager when I was 340 pounds. And when I was 340 pounds, I was in the dressing room telling women who are my size now, who are gorgeous, that they are beautiful, because they would come out and they would hate themselves and they would just like, they would tear themselves apart. And I remember at that size, I had that confidence and ability, but I never even realized it. But it was all supposed to happen, Adeline, because it's fueled from love. So all the things I did and stayed at were from love. And so love had to be my reason for doing my business.
That's great. That's great. Passion turning into business. That's why we are here for.
Right.
How do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Doing exactly what I'm doing now, but hopefully on a much grander scale.
Yay.
Why not? You can do anything. That's the thing. That's the thing that I'm doing everything for, is that you can do whatever you think you can do. There's no limit unless you set it for yourself, right? Yeah. So I speak life into people. This is what I do. I inspire people to change from within, to love themselves first, to find their inner greatness. That to me is the most important thing. And I know I speak life. I'm good with words because I have this beautiful, wonderful gift that I've been given, where I can see lovely auras around people, and it glows, and it helps me with my intuition into what they really need. And most often it's just people need to know how beautiful and wonderful they are. We don't love ourselves.
Is your audience going to be only women of all ages?
Well,
Or
you know, we're in this course right now, right? So
yes,
right now I'm focusing my niche, my 1,000 true fans, my market that I'm going to launch my first product with. And that market is women between the age of 25 and 30. Okay.
25.
So myself, essentially 10 years
So
ago.
I ruled out, Mandy. I wanted to be a part of your business. Like I want
You
to.
are. Do you want to know something, Adeline? Sweet Adeline. Oh, I love you. You're so amazing. You are, because everybody can love themselves and anyone can take part of this course. For the
Right.
sake of the course, I'm going to narrow it down, but because I serve such a wide demographic, you see, like I'm a kickboxer and boxer, and I love martial arts. So I love sports. I played soccer my whole life, and I grew up until the age of 14 playing with boys until I was forced to play with girls. You see.
Wow.
So I'm not like your average chicken that I'll go all out. But also so the demographic I serve is all the males, because I don't judge, and I hold with open arms, and I always hold a space of love, and I am
Yeah.
working every day to stop judging.
Right. Yeah.
Our whole life we're conditioned to judge, actually, and to be consumed by materialism, etc.
I
And
know.
I found
And
that,
I think for some people it comes naturally.
oh, absolutely it does. And you
Yeah.
don't even know you're doing it. I've
Right.
stopped myself from doing it and not even realized.
So I know you're going to become super popular. So where can people and or how can people find you?
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you, Adeline. Well, 4.5 years ago when I started this and I realized my physical transformation was very inspiring, I decided to start an Instagram page. So I started that Instagram page right here. It's called @Fat2Funky. Okay, so you can follow me there. If you click the link in my bio, you're going to find a 3-minute video that kind of showcases, well, definitely showcases my physical transformation. And it
Right.
showcases the mentality aspect too. It's a 3-minute YouTube video. So check it out if you want some inspiration, and wait for future, next few weeks, you're going to see my website drop. So I'm pretty
There you
excited about
go.
that. You can find me on Facebook too, but Instagram right now is my main
And
influence.
please check that out, people. She's
What's that?
she's the one to watch out for in the now and in the future. So what is the advice you want to give to people like you out there?
Don't chase money. I know it's crazy because we need money to live. I know that's a crazy concept. And actually 10 years ago, I would have told myself I was crazy, right? But what I discovered through looking within and diving deep into my own heart is that when you dive into your heart, you realize the things you love and don't love, and you realize the things you love make you feel amazing. And so why wouldn't we just do what we love? And when you do what you love, you emit a frequency of an actual literal frequency of the love hertz is at 528 hertz, right? That is one of the strongest frequencies you can emit as a human. And the best way to do that is just by doing wonderful things for yourself and by leading in love with your actions to others. So love yourself first and lead with love through anything. And I promise you, abundance, money, whatever you want to call it, wealth,
It follows.
your amazing, wonderful dream lifestyle, that will show up if you love yourself
I
first.
believe in that, Mandy.
Yes.
What a great takeaway for people out there.
Thank you so much.
Right. So, Mandy, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I hope many people who hear it will be inspired to make the same change you had made in order for them to walk in their destiny. Okay.
Thank you.
Nothing but the best from the bottom of my heart. I wish you nothing but the best of success in everything that you do.
Thank you, Adeline. Likewise, you're a wonderful host.
Yeah, bye and bye everyone, and stay tuned for my next guest at the Atlanta Rio show.